From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, March the 7th, 2019. A rocket was fired last night from Gaza at southern Israel. Residents of the Eshkol region ran to bomb shelters and safe rooms when code red alert sirens sounded across the area. The IDF said at least one mortar shell had been fired, activating the Iron Dome missile defense system. There were no reports of damage or injury. In response to the rocket attack, as well as to a number of arson balloons that were sent from Gaza into the Eshkol region yesterday, the IDF struck several Hamas terror targets in Gaza. And today, IDF soldiers stationed at the Gaza border came under gunfire. There were no injuries reported there. In response, Israeli tanks shelled Hamas positions in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who was touring Israel's border with Egypt today, was then briefed about the situation and said he was aware that in the last few days, Hamas's aggression is renewing in all sorts of forms, warning that any display of aggression will be met with a determined reaction from Israel. And the IDF conducted a home demolition in the pre-dawn hours today, destroying the home of Palestinian terrorist Assam Barghouti for carrying out two deadly shooting attacks in the West Bank this past December that left 2 Israeli soldiers and a baby dead and injured 9 others. The IDF uses home demolitions as a deterrent to carrying out terror attacks. A court in Belgium has found the shooter who murdered 4 people in Brussels almost 5 years ago guilty today. French citizen Mehdi Nemouche had fought with a jihadist group in Syria before coming back to Belgium. He carried out the shooting death of 4 people, including an Israeli couple, Miriam and Emmanuel Riva, at the Jewish Museum in Brussels. The court convicted Nemouche as well as his accomplice, Nasser Bendrer. Both face life in prison. The World Jewish Congress said the verdict at last brings a semblance of justice to the loved ones of those who were so brutally murdered on May the 24th of 2014, and to the Jewish community as a whole. Well, a resolution from Democrats in the U.S. House of Representatives that began as legislation condemning anti-Semitism has been broadened to include other forms of hate. The original resolution was proposed in the wake of comments from Minnesota Democratic lawmaker Ilhan Omar, who suggested that support from Israel constituted dual loyalty. But reportedly, after urging from some other Democratic lawmakers who felt that the resolution singled out Omar, the language of the bill was revised to include condemnation of all forms of hate and bigotry, as explained to the press today by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
I thought the resolution should be enlarge the issue to anti-Semitism, anti-Islamophobia, etc., anti-white supremacist, and that it should not mention her name, and that's what we're working on, something that is one resolution addressing these forms of hatred, not mentioning her name, because it's not about her, it's about these forms of hatred.
Pelosi added that she did not believe that Omar understood the full weight of her words. Earlier today, the Jerusalem Post reported that 2 senior congressional aides told them that Omar had expressed to Democratic House leadership that she was prepared to vote in favor of the original resolution, which basically was aimed at condemning her very own remarks, though it too reportedly did not name her specifically. Representative Ted Deutsch of Florida, who is Jewish and also serves as a co-chair of the Anti-Semitism Task Force, objected to the broadening of the resolution.
But we are having this debate because of the language of one of our colleagues. Language that suggests that Jews like me, who serve in the United States in Congress, and whose father earned a Purple Heart fighting the Nazis in the Battle of the Bulge, that we are not loyal Americans? Why are we unable to singularly condemn anti-Semitism? Why can't we call out anti-Semitism and show that we've learned the lessons of history?
Britain's equality watchdog said it will conduct the first step of an inquiry into the UK's Labour Party over a number of reports of anti-Semitism within that party. The Equality and Human Rights Commission said the party may have unlawfully discriminated against people because of their ethnicity and religious beliefs. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn has faced many allegations of anti-Semitic statements himself. The World Jewish Congress welcomed the inquiry of whether the party's handling of anti-Semitism complies with equality's law. WJC Executive Vice President Robert Singer said the Labour Party has been dogged for many months by anti-Jewish hatred and racism in the face of ineffectual leadership, and a forensic investigation is truly welcomed and needed. The stepsister of Anne Frank was sent to meet today with Southern California high school students who were shown on social media this past weekend making the Nazi salute over a swastika they had made from plastic cups. Chabad rabbi and director of the Jewish Life Center in Newport Beach, Reuven Mintz, arranged for Eva Schloss to meet with the students of Newport Harbor to try and educate them. Mintz said, "I am hopeful that despite their actions, these young individuals with promising futures have the potential to become advocates of tolerance, understanding, and coexistence in the school, in our community, and beyond." Schloss is herself a survivor of Auschwitz. Her mother married Otto Frank, Anne's father, in 1953 after the war, and she speaks all over the world about her experiences. Well, another successful maneuver was completed today by Israel's Lunar lander. Space IL and Israel Aerospace Industries engineers conducted the maneuver early this morning, which involved Bereshit's main engine being activated for 152 seconds. The maneuver was carried out according to plan, keeping the craft on its course to the moon. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, March the 7th. At 7 o'clock, it's Talmud Study. At 8, it's Episode 4 of the award-winning Israeli series, A Touch Away. At 9 tonight, it's a tribute to former Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin. That's followed at 9:30 by a sit-down with Israel's First Lady of Stage and Screen, Gila Almagor. At 10 tonight, it's the Jake Ehrenreich Show with special guests Shelley Fisher and Brie Gell, as well as a Catskills Hall of Fame induction of Sammy Davis Jr. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, political correspondent and analyst for the Times of Israel, Chaviv Rettig-Gur, describes the Israeli people's response to Benjamin Netanyahu's probable indictment and talks about the possible ramifications on Israeli elections. That's on tonight's In the News with Mark Golub. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, March the 7th, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader.